Coach, do you want to go ahead and pick up your helmets?
Hey, thanks, bud.
Okay. Okay, Coach Narduzzi, if you want to step to your left, we're going to do Coach Creighton and John Hannigan. You guys want to kind of stay behind the trophy there? Okay, Coach Creighton, if you want to step to your right. Okay, John, if you want to step out. Coach Creighton, if you want to step back in.
Center up just a little bit more. There. I just want to see both helmets. A little more to your left, Coach. There we go. There we go.
Left, Coach.
They both go.
I'm looking at the point.
Okay, we're going to take the trophy away and do it just with the coaches and their two helmets. Last one. Okay, all right. We're going to reset and get started. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. Thanks again, everybody, for coming. We've got John Hannigan, who's the CEO of Quick Lane.
Thank you, Chris. Good afternoon. Good morning, everybody. Coach Narduzzi, Coach Creighton, congratulations on your appearance here at the Bowl, and congratulations on your team's success. We look forward to a great week together and a great game, of course, together. Quick Lane Tire and Auto Centers, this is the 6th straight year we've sponsored the Bowl. We look forward to a great game. Now, Quick Lane Tire and Auto Centers has about 820 locations in the U.S. We perform vehicle maintenance and light repair on all makes and all models we're with Ford Motor Company. Now, the week is really important about the game, but really it's about the student-athlete experience, if you will, here in Detroit. We want everyone and the coaches and the families to leave Detroit with a very positive experience. We've got a great week of events planned. We've got a reception at the Henry Ford Museum, and we've got a nice talk at the end of the dinner, if you will, from Herman Moore, a legend with the Detroit Lions, and Frederick Toney, our chairman, who are both athletes, of course, and Frederick Toney was a college athlete. We'll talk about life after sports. And then we've also got great events in charity and so forth planned for going with Gleaners Food Bank, if you will. The teams will both be there for a week. Not for a week, excuse me. They'll be for an event there. Over the 5 years that we've been there, teams have actually put together and fed over 36,000 homes, families, if you will, in the Detroit area. So big charity events, if you will, around that point. And then under the Detroit Police Athletic League, we actually change out all the uniforms. We offer new uniforms, new pads, everything with Nike and Rita actually providing those as well. So it's a lot about the community in addition to the game. So with that, I'll turn it over to Coach Creighton. I'll turn it over to you for some comments, okay?
Well, first, on behalf of Eastern Michigan football and Eastern Michigan University, we are absolutely fired up about this opportunity to be here at the Quick Lane Bowl in Detroit. So I sincerely want to thank anybody and everybody who's involved in selecting Eastern Michigan. It is a big deal for us. You may or may not know that this is the first time in our history, that it's back-to-back bowl games. And by the skin of our teeth, we're well aware of that. So we had our banquet last Sunday, and I was speaking from 2:45 to 3:15, and we were hoping that we would know whether we were going to be going bowling or not prior to my speech. At 2:45, I'm sitting with Scott, and we still didn't know. So I said, I'm taking my phone up with me, and text me. And so at about 3:29, it said Quick Lane Bowl, and I gathered myself, and I let the 300 people or so that was in there to celebrate the season that we're going to the Quick Lane Bowl. Didn't know our opponent at the time, and the place went nuts. I mean, it went nuts. And so you just need to know that it's an absolute big deal for us to be here, and we're going to give you everything we have. I know that we have about 150,000 living alumni, in driving range. And so I hope nobody has plans other than being here on December 26th to support our football program and just to be proud. When I got here 6 years ago, crystal clear vision that, we wanted to make those associated with Eastern Michigan University proud. And, so we wanted to bring that to our department, to the school, to Ypsilanti, and then even to the region, and of course to the alumni. And so we are far from perfect, but we are no longer where we were 6 years ago. We're getting better, and just want so many people to be in green and white and to give them a moment, in this city, basically, in Southeast Michigan. I mean, we're Eastern Michigan, and we're playing in Eastern Michigan, and just to have an awesome day. So we're absolutely thrilled. To our opponent, it went from just not only a great bowl game, but now, it's kind of like a magical deal. I mean, we're playing such an unbelievable program. Coach Narduzzi, even this summer, was kind enough to let us come to their camp and treated me like royalty the minute that we got there, which I so appreciate. So much respect for what he's done, and obviously, from Michigan State, and everybody's so familiar with him, and now what he's doing at Pitt. Played for the ACC championship last year. So all of our hands went in the air at the banquet, so fired up that we're going. And then it was about 8 or 9 minutes later, we found out who our opponent was. And so everybody took a deep swallow and then started saying, okay, here we go. We're gonna go get this. So, but again, I just want to thank everybody and let you know that we will give you everything that we have, and just can't wait. So thank you very much.
Sounds good. You're a little fired up today, I think.
I'm fired up.
He's fired up. But, again, I'm as enthusiastic as Coach Creighton is. And congratulations, Coach, on a heck of a year. You've done an incredible job there, with Heather, like our AD, your former AD. We've had the pleasure of talking about you a lot and really admire what you have done. Spending 8 years in the state of Michigan at Michigan State and knowing where the Eastern Michigan program was and where it is now, it is in great hands with Chris, and congratulate you on that. I want to thank again John again for that invite. As he was at a banquet, I was putting up Christmas lights. It's about I had like a 3-hour window of time to come home from a recruiting weekend and then head back on the road recruiting as well. And so it was a quick turnaround. I'm trying to do as much as I can for the wife and the kids as I walk out that door. But we're as excited as anybody to come back up to Detroit. To me, it's a homecoming. Again, spending 8 years in the state, never spent as much time in the city of Detroit as I'd like to, because you're in recruiting and then you're back out, being down the road. So I'm gonna enjoy the time here. Again, thank the Ford, the family for obviously the invite as well, and everybody involved. So again, the opponent, Eastern Michigan, a heck of a team. Our kids are excited. We got a young football team that's had its ups and downs. We're not perfect as well. We've played some good football teams throughout the year. I think we got a tough team, a young team, and a hungry team that'll come to Detroit come the day after Christmas. Thank you.
All right, we're going to go ahead and open it up for questions.
Coach Creighton, this is in part for Pittsburgh Ravens, you can't do today, but could you describe the interview process with Heather Lyke and some of the questions you asked, the questions she had, just, it's kind of unusual that that's kind of cross paths again like that, what that whole thing was like.
Sure, yeah, I mean, we don't have enough time, to talk about that, right now in the detail, but I love telling that story, because, just a major time in my life, my family's life, to get a phone call from her, when I was at Drake University, place that, we absolutely loved and not looking to leave by any means. I got a call from Heather, and I'll never forget it when I hung up the phone. It said 1 hour and 4 minutes on my phone. And my wife had come down. I was in the basement. She'd come down the stairs during the phone call, basically going, "Who are you talking to?" And I was just like, just wait, honey, But I remember getting off the phone with Heather Light. And I said to my wife, I said, if that woman means what she just said, they're looking for me, at Eastern Michigan. And we did not have any ties, or anything like that at the time. But fortunately, we had a few weeks to think through it and to try to figure out if that was the right thing for us as a family. And in those weeks, she got a lot of no's from a lot of other people. And so in the end, I was the fortunate one to be able to come. And I just look at that time as, it's her first job as the athletic director, and an opportunity for us together to try to come and do something really special at Eastern Michigan, and something that a lot of people just didn't think was possible to do. We're not there yet, but we're going to keep going, and until we get there.
Chris, talk about the support you've gotten from administration in terms of facility upgrades, and if you're feeling momentum on the recruiting trail where the winning and what you have facility-wise, is that kind of helping right now?
It's always about people, the recruiting for me, and sometimes 17, 18-year-olds don't necessarily totally get that, but the experience is the foundation always has to be people. So whether the facilities are top of the line or not quite there yet, that's always how, we're going to recruit. And, the guys in the locker room, you can have paint chipping off the walls and a leaking pipe, but if you love those guys, that's the best locker room in America, and you can have gold-plated seats and air conditioning and all that, but if you don't trust the guy on your left and your right, the facility does not matter. For us right now, I believe we've got both. And so thankful for, a $20+ million, end zone facility, there at the factory. And something, again, that I don't know that any of us really believed that it would happen as soon as it did, but with the work of a lot of people, the care, and the passion of a lot of people, that has come to fruition. And so now I believe we've got outstanding people who care about each other and care about the university. And some of the comments that we've got from our own players when we first went into the facility was like, I feel like a Division I football player now. And it is absolutely special, and we're very, very thankful that we have it.
For both Pat and Chris, maybe starting with you, Pat, just when you found out that Eastern was the opponent, when you found out Pitt was the opponent, obviously you start to prepare, you throw on the tape. What's the first thing that jumped out to you when you threw on Eastern State and vice versa for you, Chris?
Yeah, great question about football. Again, I haven't had a lot of time. We'll start getting into them after this weekend. But I've watched one game on an airplane, downloaded on my iPad, and one thing you see is, I think a similar football team to what you see at the University of Pittsburgh is you see a tough football team that plays hard every snap. Okay, they're aggressive, both offensively and defensively with what they do. They're going to run the quarterback, at least in the game I saw, and again, a well-coached football team that plays for each other, and I think that's what it's all about.
Yeah. So after I said a silent prayer, so just being very, very frank with you, Coach Narduzzi is an excellent football coach, and even just being there this summer, you're there to recruit and be a part of the camp, but just the feeling of how well run the camp was. As a head coach, you don't always get an opportunity to get with other people and see how they do it and whatnot. But I left there that day because it was my first time being there. Just really impressed with just the feel of the place and how the camp, was run. And so been able to follow just, as a football fan, especially, with Heather and Christian, going to Pitt, became a quick fan. And I know, known for their defense. I mean, that's been for over a decade now. So, it just starts with that. I think coaches, I don't know Coach real well, but I know that he's passionate and that it's Western Pennsylvania. I mean, it's the Southeast Michigan. I mean, it's toughness, and you see that. And I think it starts with their defense. And I know it was a year ago, with their quarterback, how excited they were. And so now they've got, a quarterback that's maturing and playing really good football, can hurt you with his arm and with his feet. And Coach Whipple's there now under his tutelage. And so, and then I just always believe in special teams. So, I mean, it's a tall task, got to be there, like I said, with some of his team, as those guys were coaching the camp and whatnot. And, it was a good-looking bunch. So I think a very talented, well-coached team that, again, I mean, played for an ACC championship against Clemson last year. So it's a very tall task for us. But to be honest with you, our program just kind of is that chip on the shoulder. We're a bunch of misfits that people didn't want.
Don't listen to that.
And we come together.
Scratch that.
But we do. We come together and we believe in it, and so it's just it's an awesome opportunity on a great stage to play a great football team. And so we're thankful for it.
Pat, you mentioned your 8 years at Michigan State. Just wondering what that still means to you today, what it's meant for you as a head coach. And there was a moment where it looked like Michigan State might have ended up in this game. Did you pay attention to that at all?
You know what? No, I don't pay attention to it. My kids would pay attention to it more than I would. But, it means a lot. Again, like I said, come back to Detroit. My years in East Lansing were very, very meaningful to me. I am where I am today because of East Lansing, because of Michigan State, and because of Mark D'Antonio. I don't get where I am without him and in all the 11 years I spent from Cincinnati to Michigan State. So, I'm blessed every day to have had that opportunity to spend those years in all the learning moments we had throughout, my tenure there. And like I said, I'm excited to be back here. We're playing a great football team. There's no misfits from what I've saw in that one game, and I'll continue to look. And if we can find a misfit, we're going to attack a misfit. But I don't see any misfits. I see a football team that's that, like I said, is well coached. So I'm excited to be back. Again, and my family's excited to be back. Our players, I haven't seen them since we got this bowl, so we'll see them Saturday morning when we practice for our third time, and then we'll get after it.
Can you give us a player or two on both sides of the ball that you think NFL scouts will definitely be taking notes on and will be playing on Sundays someday for each of your team?
My list might be a little shorter, but I'll tell you this. When our last game ended, and it didn't go the way that we wanted it to go. Our quarterback makes things go for us, on offense, and Mike Glass, and it didn't feel right, for the season to end, if it did on that day, without him, leading us and playing one more game. So I don't know if the NFL, can get over his height and all that kind of stuff, but I think he's a special quarterback. I know that our left tackle's getting attention. And Steven Nielsen, as he should. I think he's a tremendous football player. I'm talking about graduating seniors right now. And then, guys are looking at our receivers as well, and Arthur Jackson and Matt Sexton. And then, defensively, Kevin McGill is our corner that's gotten a lot of attention. Vince Calhoun is our, first team, three-time all-conference player, in the secondary. And there's other guys that, people ask about and want to know about, and Brody Hoying and all of that as well. So, yeah, I mean, those guys are good football players. So we'll see what happens.
Doesn't sound like many misfits there, Coach. But when you look at, I'll start off with our seniors. And I think we've got, a pretty good football team. But I'll start off with guys that are playing in some senior bowls. Dane Jackson, a corner. Number 11, I think, is an outstanding. I've coached some first-round corners. He is all of that. Number 11, he's been a lockdown guy in our defense, and I'm excited about him. And then DeMar Hamlin will play in the East-West Shrine game, who is our free safety that, when he's out there, we're a different football team. But we're going to miss him dearly in a year when he leaves. So those are two guys that are seniors that are playing in games as we know right now. And again, there's going to be, I could sit here and talk for a while of guys that are going to have opportunities. And his quarterback's going to have an opportunity because the Steelers are playing with a guy named Duck that is not very tall, but he's a competitor. And again, that's what his quarterback is. But Kylan Johnson, a linebacker, is a guy that, if I'm the Detroit Lions and I'm sitting there watching that day, I'm going to watch that guy. We've got some D linemen or some underclassmen that, the NFL is looking at as well. But no seniors there. But when you look on offense, Maurice French, again, another senior, is a special talent that's had 80-some catches. That's a really good football player. He'd be the one special guy on offense, I think, as a senior that NFL teams are going to want him as a punt returner, kick returner, and also as a receiver. And then some of our underclassmen that have put some paperwork in that are going to be evaluated for the next level. I'll start with Paris Ford, who is an incredible football player. I can't tell you how many coaches after games that gave me a hug after the game, win or lose, and said, hey, that number 12. He's a guy that flies around, makes a ton of plays. And we got a couple defensive linemen in Patrick Jones and Jalen Twyman that have helped us maybe lead the country. I don't look at those stats very often, but we got to be in the top 5 in the country in sacks. I think Jalen's got 10.5, and Patrick's got something like 8 or 9. You talk about putting pressure on a quarterback. So these guys can get to the quarterback as underclassmen. So those are a couple underclassmen there. And then Kenny Pickett, I think our quarterback is a special player. He's completed a ton of passes. We haven't gotten the end zone like we'd like to, but he's been excellent as far as moving our team up and down. And but obviously the object of the game is to get in the end zone. So that's something we've got to do. And again, that's not on the quarterback's shoulder, but that's on everybody else's shoulder. So thank you.
Dabo has said that playing a disrespect card for him and your conference. Do you think, like he says, the ACC has been minimalized and disrespected at all?
I do. I really do. And I played the Big Ten, and I really do. And I've been on record of saying that in the past. Won't be shocked if Dabo beats the Buckeyes and moves on to another championship game and wins another one. They got an excellent football team. And again, I always say this, you don't move through a conference and become a conference champion again and move on to the playoffs, okay? And they haven't got smoked in the playoffs. I could see if they've gotten there every year and gotten knocked out and got embarrassed, but I don't think Dabo or the Clemson Tigers have gotten embarrassed at any point in any games we've seen this far. People want to talk about pretty wins and ugly wins and all that. A win is a win, and he's an incredible coach. They got a great football team, and we wish him luck in this game. But I think the rest of the ACC does get disrespected, and because it's competitive. There's not a game in the ACC Coastal you're going to go into and say, oh, this is a win. There's not one. And when there's a crossover game, Syracuse, wins 8 or 9 games a year ago. Has a rough year there, but great football team. But all we're doing is beating each other up every weekend. Okay. And I think that's the difference is anybody can win, and you better be mentally and physically prepared every Saturday, or you're going to get beat.
Coach, this is also for a Pittsburgh Raider. We can't be here. You've got a bunch of.
Who's that Raider?
Jerry DiPaolo. Is that?
He's my man. Okay, I figured it was Jerry. Jerry was going to have somebody. Hi, Jerry.
Anyway, you want to know you've got a number of players who are draft eligible, and the reality is that some guys don't play in bowl games. Can you talk to any of your players about that?
I really haven't. That's not something I think really needs to be talked about. The one thing about our football team is they're together, and they haven't said anything to me. I don't have to ask that question. I know they're going to play for each other. We haven't had that problem in the past, and I don't expect to have it this year. But you never know. It's something you'll have to deal with. I think it happens around the country, and I think this game of football is a team sport, and our kids talk about brotherhood all the time and playing for their brother. And I don't think there's not a one of those guys on our football team, senior, junior, that wouldn't come out and give it their all on a Saturday or in a bowl game.
Coach, now after having been there for 5 years, and what kind of growth do you think you've seen in the program since you've taken over?
Yeah, I'm a lot older, I can tell you that. A few more gray hairs, losing a few hairs. But I think as football coaches, whether you're a defensive coordinator, a quarterback coach, or a head coach, if you're not growing daily, then you got issues. I'm going to pick Chris's mind for anything I can as we spend a little bit more time here during bowl practice. There's always something you can learn as a coach. You know, and again, you know, as a defensive coach, you know, I've learned more offense. I've learned what they're doing, how they're doing it, what they're looking at. And I think, you know, those are things, I mean, but you're constantly learning. You're learning techniques in recruiting, techniques in, you know, what you're doing in your summer camps. And again, what you're doing offensively, defensively, especially. So I think, again, everybody in this room is growing. If you stop growing daily, then probably you're going backwards. So we're trying to move forward. I'm happy with where our program's going. We continue to compete. We're, you know, looking at the benchmark in a Clemson football team that we talked about earlier. You know, they've won a national championship, and that's the benchmark. That's what we're trying to strive for. We've reached an ACC championship. Our goal is not just to get there. Our goal is to get there and win the thing. And in the next couple of years, we're going to win one. I guarantee you that. It's just a matter of time, and things got to go right. But we got a good enough football team. We're talented enough. We're well coached, and our kids will play for each other.
This question is for both of you guys, considering your connections to the state of Michigan. What does it mean to be able to take your kids down to downtown Detroit, have them be in the city, experience it for a couple of days, and then play at Ford Field? I guess to start with you, Chris.
Yeah, it's something that I know the Creighton family, and then we haven't been together as a team much other than the banquet, but we are excited about it. You know, we do spend time here in Detroit and familiar, but we haven't been here for 3 or 4 days and stayed downtown and done some of the things that we're going to do. So our team, when we said the Quick Lane Bowl, was fired up about a bowl game, and then when we realized the opportunity that we have, and part of that is being at home for our fans, and it's just a different dynamic. Not that we're used to bowling, but it's something that we're super excited about. I mean, we really are, and I just think that the Eastern Michigan faithful are going to come. I think it's going to be just a neat experience and opportunity for Detroit and for Eastern Michigan being all here together. Excited about it.
Well, I haven't been back to the area for 5 years, and the one thing I'll say is the city of Detroit is rebounding, and the city of Pittsburgh rebounded years ago, and really the city of Detroit is rebounding. I think it's revitalized. I'm looking forward again, like Coach is, to spending time in the city. But when you look at the city of Detroit and the state of Michigan, there's some people that you look at. And it's obviously the Ford family has built this place. Dan Gilbert is a guy that our thoughts and prayers are with him and what he's going through right now. But you talk about a guy that's been, a Michigan guy, in his time into this city. So, we're looking forward to it. My kids all have been to the Henry Ford Museum. I haven't. They went, and I came home. I got the story. So, we're looking forward to it as a Narduzzi family. Our Pitt family, our players will come to Detroit and really enjoy everything that Detroit has to offer.
You talked about Kenny Pickett a little bit. His touchdown to interception ratio probably isn't quite where you guys wanted. What's his ceiling really? Like how far can he really take you guys this game and maybe going on?
Yeah, again, a junior that's really done a heck of a job. And I think sometimes when you look at quarterbacks, everybody looks and says, okay, he threw a pick, and sometimes you don't know why he threw a pick. You don't ever want to throw anybody in the bus, but I can just tell you this: of the picks he's thrown, they're not all his fault. Okay, and again, sometimes receivers run the wrong routes, whatever it may be, and you're expecting the guy to be there, and he's not. And Coach knows a heck of a lot more about that than I do. But I don't worry about those stats. I mean, those I'm worried about the what we do in the win column. But Kenny Pickett is a great quarterback. He's our quarterback. He can move around in the pocket. He's smart. He likes what we're doing on offense. He's just going to continue to get better. He'll be a senior next year. We wish he had another year. He played 4 games as a true freshman. We wanted to redshirt him, but because of injury, we had to throw him in there. He ended up having his first start as a true freshman and beat Miami, the number 2 team in the country, at Heinz Field, and he's grown every year. And again, you look at those stats. He's got some young receivers running routes out there sometimes that that do some things. And again, it's been a catch and tackle for our receivers at this point. He could have twice as many yards if we do something after the catch. So he's a special player. He can put the ball where you need it to, and then he needs some more guys, which we're addressing in recruiting to continue to make some more plays once the ball gets in our hands.
This is for Coach Creighton. You talked a little bit about this being the first time that EMU has gone back-to-back in bowl games. So what does it mean to you to be the coach that led them to this first?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of us. We got a big staff, and and quite a few people who've been there for the whole 6 years. I'm super proud of it, but it's our team, it's our program, it's the department, the school. I mean, for a football program to have some success, it takes so many people. And anybody, player, coach, or that thinks that they're responsible for something is a fool. It takes so many people, and so just fortunate that so many good people have come together, for this period of time to give us a chance to be able to do that. And so, we're proud of it. We're thankful, but at the same time, we want to keep getting better. Coach is getting me fired up about growing, and our program, we want to continue to get better. So it's fun to have gone to 2 bowl games back to back, been to 3 now in 4 years. We haven't won any of them. Got in by the skin of our teeth this year. We have a long ways to go, but we're enjoying the process of getting better. So it's a great question, but it's the list of people that have helped get us to where we are right now is really, really long.
I know you've obviously been busy running your own program, but since you left Michigan State, what have you seen with kind of the highs and lows, playoff, down year, rebound, and then after that?
Like you said, I'm worried about my program, the highs and lows and the ups and downs and the wins and losses. And I talk to Coach D'Antonio quite often, but we don't talk football. We talk family, and everybody's got issues. Everybody's got problems. I don't think there's anybody in the country that doesn't. Again, he's a heck of a football coach, and he's got respect from a lot of people in this world.
How confident are you can turn things back around? I mean, there's a lot of people that are sort of down on him and down on that program right now.
Well, that's D'Antonio will feed off that. And again, this is obviously about Pitt and Eastern Michigan, but D'Antonio will feed off. That's what he does. He's been the underdog for years. I think what people fail to realize is in the game of football, it's hard to do it year after year. I mean, you think about all the bowl games he's been to, the Big Ten championships. He's been in the playoffs, and you have a bad year, and everybody wants to get after you. I mean, be careful what you wish for. He's a heck of a football coach, and every Michigan State Spartan should be glad they got him.
I mean, there's a lot of people that want him out, but
No question about it. That's crazy.
All right, we're gonna do one more question for Jerry DiPaolo.
Yeah.
getting in on it.
No, I'll take 2 Iron Cities for that. No, this is, Coach, this is about Joe Schmidt. I just wondered, he was on the NFL all-time 100-year team and all that. I just wonder how he's regarded a bit. It was 60-some years ago he was there. Is he as iconic there as this with the Detroit Lions?
Yeah, he's a legend. He's a legend at Pitt, and we may even have him as our honorary captain for this game. We're working on that, but I have not had a chance to meet him. I'm looking forward to it, hopefully here in the future. And when you think of the tradition of the University of Pittsburgh, he fits right in with the rest of the greats that have played the game at the University of Pittsburgh.
All right, everybody, thank you. We're gonna have both coaches here to the side available for any one-on-ones if you need them. Thanks again for coming.
Thank you, everybody.